So I was watching the videos and I realized
shit's not on.
that's embarrassing. Welcome and welcome back.
That's too much chest hair for me. I don't know. What do you think?
Today, I think we're going to talk about deadlifting. Where
it's a lot of chest hair.
Hey, bada bing, bada boom. You know.
That's racist. You definitely got to edit that out.
It's not racist.
That's racist for sure.
New Jersey is not a race, okay?
Okay. It's racist.
Random white guy.
We're going to get canceled.
Yes, cancel this, cancel that. Welcome and welcome back. Today we want to talk about the deadlift, specifically the kettlebell deadlift and when the hell you should do it. I know it belongs in every complex I've ever done. I should get like a really light bell and deadlift as many reps as possible. But other than that, what do you think?
I think that he's kind of already made the point. Deadlift, in my opinion, maybe yours, I don't know.
Well, let's hear your opinion. I'll just
He'll
say
agree
my
or
opinion
disagree.
after yours.
I think a deadlift has a place in kettlebells as a drill. And sometimes it has a place as a mechanism of gaining strength. That mechanism is going to be dependent upon percentages of your maximum strength. Specifically, why we're making this video is for people to think about what they're doing with a deadlift when they're using it. Not anti-deadlift, that's kind of a silly thing, but there are some potential downfalls for letting deadlifts creep into kettlebell training and looking them at them as an alternative to a swing, putting them in complexes that they don't belong in, et cetera, et cetera. So specifically, why don't you do a quick kettlebell deadlift just so people understand what we're
I hope I don't screw this up.
what we're talking about. So, pretty basic. Okay,
There it is.
go ahead and put that down. So the first point I think we want to illustrate is, let's say you were to grab two 48s. Okay, so
Sure.
212 pounds. Do you know what your maximum deadlift is?
Last time I tried one,
Ish.
long time ago, was like 405
Okay, so
or something.
so if you were to use both of those bells, okay,
Yeah.
both of those bells, we're getting to roughly 50% of his maximum deadlift.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, people don't consider that to be a heavy enough weight to train strength. So what else can he train? Could he train endurance with it? Absolutely, he could train endurance with it. Could he train hypertrophy? Yes, he absolutely could train hypertrophy with it. No problem there. The big take home though is if you're going to add a kettlebell deadlift, it needs to approach the level of 60% at least if you're working on strength in order to translate into any kind of mechanism that's actually going to get you stronger. Again, that's presupposing that's what your goal is. If you're looking for hypertrophy, you're looking for endurance, you can work at a much lower percentage, not too much lower, because once the load drops too much, you're not really making an impact. So first thing, if you are selecting a kettlebell deadlift, 9 times out of 10, you're going to need to go double, and you're going to need to go heavy if you want it to translate into any kind of real tangible gains. The second thing to point out with the deadlift is it almost never belongs in a complex. Okay, a complex is a series of different kettlebell moves that are strung together, and when we think about different skills that you could potentially do, some people will be able to deadlift and swing and squat with bells that are roughly a percentage. Again, this all goes back to the percentage idea where they're going to make a difference. That's not the case for most people. Mm-hmm. So for you to, let's say the absolute minimum that's going to make a difference in your training is probably going to be double 48s.
Okay. Yeah.
So you're deadlifting double 48s. Now what do you do with them?
Well, I'm certainly going to double clean, double snatch, and double push press them,
Okay.
you know?
So now we're starting to look at the point, or to see the point that for him to use a weight that is heavy enough to actually provide a training benefit, he's not going to be able to do much else with it.
Right.
You could probably do a double clean, a couple double cleans. Okay.
Probably.
But maybe a double swing, maybe. Okay, but
A lot to hold on to.
yeah, but now we're getting to a place where we've got a very limited training menu, and he could put together these complexes. And there are people who can handle these weights, and by all means, if you can do that. There are people who can bring them up and get them into doing a double push press. But one thing that I would recommend you think about is the people that are going to be able to double swing 48s, who are going to be able to double clean, double push press 48s without a problem, are going to have a much heavier maximum deadlift than 400
So
pounds.
now it's below that threshold.
So
possibly.
now it's below that threshold. So one of the big issues with the deadlift is always going to be that training weight. So the complex, one of the things we'll see very, very frequently, I saw one just the other day. It was a one-arm deadlift, I think into a swing, into an overhead press. I have never met a human that has the ability to press the same weight that they can squat or deadlift. Generally, the strongest lift that a human has is a squat or a deadlift. Do you know many exceptions?
Mm-mm.
So they're not going to be single arm overhead pressing with that weight. So generally that complex is going to be one that's not very effective because either A, your deadlift isn't heavy enough to train you, or B, it's too heavy for you to push overhead. So we want to think about those things. The final thing to talk about with the deadlift that I don't like in complexes is it keeps reinforcing this idea that kettlebells need to be hinge dominant. They absolutely do not. And we train squats at a percentage that makes sense for load. You know, with when we think about where we're putting the load is really the big caveat. So when we're looking at squats, we're looking at, let's say, a double rack squat, 224s.
Yeah,
that'll work.
That'll get you going. Yeah.
Okay.
5-6 times.
But if you were to put that same weight on your back,
it would be nothing.
Okay, so it would be nothing. So load placement is really big. So we're taking the traditional deadlift, which is done right around the shins, and we're actually making the load placement even more favorable because we're bringing it in closer to the center of the mass.
Right.
So we're taking the traditional lift and we're making it easier with the deadlift, but we're taking the squat and we're actually making it harder by maintaining a good solid rack position, bringing the center of mass up and forward. We're making the squat harder. So kettlebell squats make a lot of sense as a training modality. Kettlebell deadlifts rarely do. So we tend to give things a pass because they are, everything, oh, well, a swing is a hinge. It's not. It is absolutely not. It can be, but it's not the same thing. So in my experience, in my estimation, this is the part where you can agree or disagree.
Okay, let's have it.
A kettlebell deadlift is a fantastic drill. It is a good way to learn how to move through the hips and not through the spine. With some people, you have the ability to move a load that is actually going to train you, but for most people, it is not heavy enough. It is almost never okay to use within a complex unless you're doing a very small isolated set of moves. Beyond that, kettlebell deadlifting has a place, but it is not usually a place within training. It's a place within warming up. It's a place where you're doing drills and you're solidifying some concepts, but you're not actively making a big enough difference to the tissue to get stronger and better. And if that's the name of the game, that's what you want to do. If you want to use a complex to warm up, if you want to do it because it's fun, by all means, nothing wrong with that. But that's not training. Training is making very precise decisions in order to achieve a specific goal.
There you go. I agree. Hey, I'm glad you just stuck around for that. And big ups to that. So some things to think about is if you're going to do a complex and you want to add a hinge movement, type of movement, I should say, swing that bell. Give that bell a swing, give it a clean, give it a press.
That's what kettlebells are good at.
Yeah, that's their favorite thing to do, in fact. Anyways, there you have it. So download the Bells app, and you can put deadlifts in there as a warm-up if you'd like.
And if you disagree, you want to argue about it, put it in the comments,
Yeah,
start the conversation.
yeah, that's right. And thanks for watching. Stay strong.